Welcome to The Engaging Life, a podcast about using engagement equity to improve your relationship building skills in your personal and professional life. And now, here are your hosts, Brandon Suba and Angela Cheney.
Well, hi, Angela. How are you today?
I'm doing good. It's my birthday.
Yes, I wasn't going to say it, but happy birthday to you. See, that's the second one now. Third one, maybe? Third? Second? Third?
Yeah.
Your way, everybody. Well, how does it feel for your birthday?
I feel the same.
Feel the same? It's good. Does your back hurt or anything? Like
always
aches and pain? Oh, okay. So you're already at that point.
I'm over the hill.
No,
I'm already over the hill.
I went snowboarding on Monday, and I'm not in pain.
Where?
At Crescent.
Oh.
The hill. The hill, which, yes, they did. I know what you're all thinking. Oh, it's a hill in Iowa. It's only about 30 minutes from here. And they did have snow. It was actually not, it was ice. But that's when you have a hill to work with, that's kind of nice to
ride. You're still alive.
Ride the ice. I am. Yep. I only fell once and it was my fault. Like I was doing something stupid.
Not always
anyways.
your fault?
Not always.
No.
No. Sometimes nature.
Or
it's nature's fault.
Somebody comes out from nowhere and
that's
you over.
I've never had a bad experience with that, but I've seen some pretty gnarly crashes, let's say. There was one time, this was a Crescent, headed to the lift. So it's like flat. And I don't know what the person did, but there was blood.
Ew.
I'm like, how do you rip open your skin? But yeah, it was bad.
Probably popped his nose or mouth.
No, it was leg. The blood was coming from the leg. Like, what do you do? I don't know. Anyways, this is totally off topic. Go figure. The opening of the show is off topic. So I'm in a group. I think we know.
Several
from time to time. And we did the Enneagram test. And
Enneagram.
What is it?
Enneagram.
Yeah, there's a lot of N's and E's in it. But
it's not an easy one to say.
Enneagram. Well, obviously, because,
I think it's Enneagram.
I
think.
I need a gram. Okay, so we took the test. We took the test as a group. And then one of the members presented on what all the different things are and everything. I really enjoyed it because it's been a while for me since I've done these. And it sounds like it's been a while for you since you've done one, just because you've done them all.
Yeah, I'm really into it.
Are you?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
So were you excited about this when I sent it over?
Yeah, I actually took 2 of them again before you got here.
Oh.
I did not take the Strengths Finder because that costs a lot of money.
It does.
I just went and looked and identified the ones that I knew I was.
Okay.
But I did take the Enneagram one again, and I looked more into several of the others.
Oh, fun. Did you see I marked the ones I don't know?
Right, and I filled in some stuff on those.
Oh, sweet.
For you.
This show is probably the most prepared show we've had thus far.
It's up there.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I don't have any quotes. That's you go above and beyond with the quotes.
I like quotes.
I like to
quotes.
I like to keep it simple. So, anyways, so it was a great experience, and I'm going to start the show off with, if you have never done any of these, I'm going to list. We have a list that we'll go through of options, but if you've never done one, you really should.
Oh, definitely.
They're mind blowing, and if you haven't done one in a while, I think that would be worth your while to do. But what I love about these is how freakishly accurate they are when you're reading the descriptions. And I will tell you all, I'm going to deny some of these that have said this is who you are. And as I'm looking at it, it's more how they title it, but I'm like, that's not me. And then I read the description. I'm like, well, that's a lot of me in there. And of course, I don't feel they're ever going to be 100% accurate because we are human, and
absolutely,
you can't just say, hey, you're this way. Tell you the truth, I listened to a podcast way back when, and they were talking about the Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs. I didn't put an S on it.
You spelled Briggs wrong too.
Does that shock anyone? I think it was copying it too, so that's really sad. But that's the original. That's the OG, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
When they decided that people did have certain personalities and it could be identified in a specific way, that was the first one. And so the podcast I listened to, they said it's a little dated and there's a lot of good options out there. And I agree. I think some of them that we're going to list are better options than that. But that's more of just a general who you are.
That was kind of a big basis of psychology.
Oh, sure.
As Myers-Briggs. And
you're a fan of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big fan of.
It's like, surprise. But that did a lot, for identifying psychopathy and,
Hmm.
a lot. It was just a bedrock of psychology. So
Was it the evolution of just sending people to a psych ward? Because and I say that jokingly, but not jokingly,
Mhm.
because for a while, if you were off, they
of
didn't
course.
take time to see what it's all about. They
Well,
just put you in a psych
I
ward.
believe Myers-Briggs is the one, and I wish I would have looked at that more closely because I would have done some research for the show.
Sure.
But I believe there is a book written about how the Myers-Briggs test came about,
Oh.
and that it's very, very fascinating, and that
Interesting.
there was some sort of, I don't know if it was scandal really, but something like that going on. And now I just want to stop the show so I can go look. But
Not today.
I will look at it and touch base on the next episode so I can fill you in on that. But I'm pretty sure there is a book written about how that came to be, and that I need to read it.
Oh no, and I'm
Because
sure
I have not read it.
they talked about it in the podcast I listened to, but they said book. I stopped listening.
Eyes go crossed.
Okay, so let's just dig in here. So some of the different types of tests you can take, and I did list these as how I like them by default.
Sure.
So number one, the strength finders. This I think is the best place to start. Like you said, there is a cost to it. There's a cost to some of them. Some are free. There's a cost to this because you get your own code, and it's a book and then a digital test. And this whole concept, and I love this concept, is everything seemed to focus on what your strength was, but let's fix your weaknesses then. Where I think Strength Finders did a good job turning that around and saying, no, these are your strengths. Use these. Like,
Right.
just stay in your lane, and we'll dig more into that. The DISC profile, which I am an I influencer.
Do you remember what the other letters are?
No, no. I know D is like a dominant. And
Okay.
I don't think it's the dominant word, but it's a
Right.
dominant. I's includer. And then the S and C.
thought
I never fall in the S
You
and
ju-
C.
You just said two different I's. You said includer, and the first one you said something else.
Inspire? No.
No. Influencer.
Influencer. See, I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
which I that stands for. I know and it's yellow. Because on the chart, this is what's funny. So you get charts, like you're going to get charts with them, and then you get numbers, and you get so many
Is that
different
the
things.
Red, yellow, blue, green one?
Yes, it is. Yep, the
Okay.
color one too.
I am green.
You are green. That's an S or a C, which doesn't shock me.
That's because my husband had to take this for his,
And he was
Work.
yellow, wasn't he?
I think he's a yellow.
Yeah.
And he'll use this all the time. He'll be like, oh, you're such a green. Just tell Angie that you love her and everything will be fine in her world. And I'm like, pretty much.
Yeah, I was like, but there's truth to it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd, for bringing it up that way.
Yeah.
That's the first one I ever did way back in the day. In the chart, you have a star and a circle. So it kind of shows you the two realms you're on. And everybody, I was in like a group of 12 people that were doing it. And everybody got theirs. And everybody had the star and the circle. And I'm like, I just have a star, you guys. And they're like, no, you have to. My circle was on my star. Like that's how much of an I was. And it was
Okay.
right in the middle. So that was not a shocker for me. And in an enneagram. An enneagram?
Enneagram.
No.
I believe.
Enneagram.
I believe.
An enneagram. Anyways, the enneagram.
The E test.
The E test, we'll call it. I just did this one for the first time in the group that I talked about earlier. And this, you get a number. And what are your numbers?
I put them here. Yes, I have two that are pretty much neck and neck.
I think you're supposed to.
Yeah, two
Okay.
dominant ones.
Yep.
7, the enthusiast,
Okay.
and 9, the peacemaker.
So, okay, I'm gonna take a side note here. This may shock you because it kind of shocked me, and maybe it won't shock anybody. And it just shocked me. We are very opposite. Like none of ours line up.
No.
And I thought we'd have a few here and there because I am a 3, the achiever, which that I don't like the name of, and then 2, the helper, which I
I'm
do.
surprised about this one.
Me too.
I would have thought you would have been an enthusiast.
That was number 4 on my list.
Really?
Mhm.
And that's totally me. I want everyone to have fun. I try and make everything into a game. I want,
I know. I'm shocked it's not on there. But the achiever, because when I hear the achiever, I don't know. I'm not competitive, and whenever I say that, people are like, "Oh, come on, Brandon." I'm not. I don't care if I win or lose.
right.
Like,
But
what-
that's not, that doesn't have to be synonymous with an achiever. You
It's-
can achieve without competition.
Correct, and it does say in there that like you want to win as a base, but then everything else, it was me to a T.
No,
It was creepy. And these are creepy, by the way, how accurate they are.
in a good way.
Tell yourself in a good way. So I was just shocked because to me, yes, I would think the enthusiast or something on those lines. And then the helper, that is 100% me. And it goes into my strengths too. And we're going to talk. Well, we didn't say our strengths. We'll talk about those later.
Okay.
And then Myers-Briggs. We talked about Myers-Briggs. Now, these are the ones I don't know. So I'm going to lean on you with your little research here. I'll take a shot at saying it. Is that Kersley?
Kiersey.
Kiersey. Oh, did
There's
I?
no L.
There is no
There
L.
is no L.
Kiersey. Temperament sorter.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So I was not aware of this one. So
I-
I actually did some research beforehand. And it's kind of one of those circle things. If you're watching this on the UB2B, I'm doing a circle and it's split like this. So it's kind of one of those, if you're this and this, you're here.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So there's the artisan. And the artisan is a concrete utilitarian. Maybe I should go back to concrete means you talk about reality.
Okay.
Abstract means you talk about ideas. So you're either one or the other there. And then utilitarian means you do what works. And cooperative is you do what's right. So you're either one or the other there. And that
Interesting.
identifies you. So you've got the artisan, which is concrete utilitarian.
Okay.
So that is somebody who talks about reality and does what works. Okay. And you got the guardian, which is concrete and cooperative. So they talk about reality and they always do what's right, or they try to do what's right. Idealist, which is abstract cooperative. So they talk about ideas and try and do what's right. So those are your.
I mean, they go and say,
yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you get too far on both sides of those. And,
Yeah.
And then you got the rational, which I would say that's what I am, which is abstract. So I talk about ideas more than concrete things. And utilitarian, I do what works.
Okay.
You know, of course, I still, but when it comes down to it, it's like, even though they say this is supposed to be the right way to do it, it doesn't work.
Right.
So why not do it this way? I'm really
You
that
like
way.
that?
I'm just like, yeah, you achieve results this way. And it's not saying do what's right versus do what's wrong. It's not saying, well, to achieve my results, I'm going to kill this person and step on their face. That's not what it is. It's more the set rules, the set way of doing things, the set.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of like that. I don't know. See, this is another one. I'm guessing I'm like idealist or artisan, but I would think more guardian for me. Well, once again, I've never taken it, so interesting.
And I just kind of self-identified on that one.
Right.
I didn't take a test. I know myself pretty well at
You
this
do.
point. That
You do.
Yeah.
You do. We all do. Okay. Well, thank you for looking all that up. Big 5 personality assessment. Did
yeah.
you-
And so those are the big 5s. And
Oh.
it
Okay.
ranks you on extroversion, agreeableness, openness, conscientiousness, and neuroticism.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Stay off the end of
So
there.
that one can also go into a little bit of mental health, like identifying if somebody's not necessarily a psychopath, but starting to get into some of the mental health, borderline personality,
Showing the signs.
OCD,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. And then Holland Code. And honestly, I wrote the ones I knew and Googled like the top 5.
I didn't get
so-
to that one.
Didn't get that one. Okay. So we don't know what that one is. Some of these are free, supposedly on the ones I don't know list. I know the ones that I do know. There's always been a charge for it.
I took a fake strengths finder today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It was free. And
free.
was it close or?
Yeah, that's how I identified mine. And I was like, yeah, those sound right.
Oh, good.
So, but
That'll work.
I'm not telling anyone to not actually take the Gallup Strengths Finder because that's the best one. Paying for it is worth it. You get all the resources and everything. But
Yes.
if you want to do a quick and dirty, there are some free options. Yeah.
And so probably pretty accurate. And like you said, you know yourself pretty well.
And I've already taken
It's
Strengths
on.
Finder. I've done a lot of the research. So I just wanted to remind myself what I was.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about different areas that you can use these. First, we're going to start on the personally.
Sure.
And just like you said, finding if you're a psychopath or finding, but we talk about a lot in this working in relationships, be it your marriage, be it your partners at your office or even your employees, all those things. So for me personally, and I kind of want you to share yours too here in a minute. So for me, it helped me understand who I was better. I did the strength finders, but I must have still been mechanically set to do don't worry about your strengths, work on your weaknesses. And it's when I was managing a group over 4 states that I sat there one day and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm really good at these top 5 things.
Mhm.
So why am I trying to veer off of it and be somebody I'm not?
Right.
Because once again, I was thinking, work on your weaknesses. So I had my whole team do the Strength Finders test.
Okay.
And some of them had already done it. And then I went and I read each one of their things. And that's when the book took a new level for me, because I educated myself beyond my top 5.
Oh.
Well, then I'm not joking. I started addressing, like sending different tasks and stuff to different people. And all of a sudden things were getting done so much better. So for me personally, the sad thing was it took me so long to realize when you get your top 5, do those. Don't fight the current and try to fix other things. No, do those. And that's when I'm comfortable enough to now tell people, if we're in a meeting and you say something and I need to write it down, the second you start talking again and I'm still writing, I'll tell you to stop, because I'm not listening to a word you're saying, and then I'm going to have to try to jump back in.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to correct 2 words that I don't know how to spell. So I'm going to be a little longer than the next person too.
Right.
But it's when I realized, okay, I'm not good at doing that. So I'm going to tell people I'm not good at doing this. So don't put me in this position. And you know what? Meetings started meaning more to me because I was more engaged with it.
Yeah.
Because I was directing them.
And also what you said too, don't just look at yourself. I mean, even if you don't know what other people's strengths are, or if they're blue, green, just knowing how many different types of personalities are out there is especially for somebody who's been rather egocentric and, everybody's like me and everybody thinks like me. And, just realizing how many different ways there are to think and be and how different people are should help you have more empathy for other people.
Yep. And that's what the DISC, it was when I was in sales, we did the DISC profile. And honestly, the reading material that comes, and maybe that's the advantage of paying for your first few, is you get so much more material with it. But the reading material that comes with this, usually they talk about, if you're an I, this is how you work with a D. If you're an I, this is how you should communicate with an S. So it does it equips you to do that. You just have, and I guarantee you dug into this way more than I did, because I'm give me my summary and I'm going to compare how much is true. And then I'm good.
You're going for it.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. So that's personally, it just gives you the opportunity to know yourself a little bit better. And like you said, kind of work with other people that you have relationships with. Okay. Now hiring.
Okay.
And this came up in the group that I took the Enneagram. Enneagram? That sounds right?
I believe it's Enneagram.
Enneagram.
I keep saying that because
So
I'm not
no
going.
one said Enneagram on Tuesday, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm going to look it up after this podcast.
Okay. I think you somehow say 2 not important. Okay. Anyways.
That's how it is. That's phonetically correct.
Okay. So everyone was just doing it phonetically.
No, what I said is phonetically correct.
Oh.
So it may not be how it's actually pronounced. I'll look it up.
I don't do well with double letters. Okay, anyways. But we talked about hiring. And in this situation, organization is really looking to use the Enneagram.
The E word.
The E-gram test. To specifically for hire. And they got into a conversation where it was like, oh, well, you can't do that though, because that might be, what is it?
Discrimination.
Discrimination and all of that. And I highly disagree. And here's why. So I worked at Target. I worked overnights before I went to college because I really wanted to experience what working overnights was. And they made me do a little test.
Okay.
And I will never forget, one of the questions was, do you think it's okay to drink or do drugs on a break and come back to work?
Why not?
Now, here's me. I'm sitting here. I mean, this is right before I left college. And in my mind, I go, well, if you're dumb enough to answer yes on this, you're probably already drinking or doing drugs.
And probably while you're taking the test. Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be an easy one. But I remember I took the personality test. Come and Go. It's a gas station here in the Midwest. I worked at a restaurant and the busboy tried to go get a job at Come and Go. Okay. And I'll be honest, I love this dude. He was sharp. And I told him that. I'm like, you're probably a little better than that, but I understand you're young and it doesn't matter. He didn't pass the test.
Wow.
And they didn't hire him. I'm like, that's nuts to me.
Something came out.
Nuts to me. So I highly believe that you obviously can, because these are big companies that would just get reamed if it was really an issue.
I mean, the police force. You have to pass a psych test.
That's a good thing.
To be a cop, and it's like, why shouldn't I mean, you can do probably a lot more harm in that position than in working at the gas
right.
station. But
Mm.
if you can't, pass a psych test that says I'm not a sociopath, I'd like to know that before I hired you.
Yeah. Yes. And I think where the conversation kind of went was using this to, okay, so let's say you want to fill a sales role,
Right.
right? If you get somebody that's, and I don't know all of them off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but is it a 9? Oh, 9 is a peacemaker. No, 9's okay in the sales role. There was this list and there were 3, I think 4 was on there, and that's a 4 is not good for a sales role, whatever it is. And so what they were talking about is using it for hiring for that purpose.
More so putting people in the right places rather
Correct.
than identifying psychopaths.
Psychopath.
I was trying to say psycho and sociopaths. It came out psychopaths. Sounds like
I just don't see how it's discriminatory to
No.
use a test, a very respected test, to say, you know what, you're not the right fit for this
Right.
position.
That would be like saying job interviews are discriminatory.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing,
The
trying to
exact same
identify
thing.
if you're a good fit. It's just another tool.
So my dad worked in the manufacturing business, and he did a lot of the hiring. There was a guy that he applied. He was in a wheelchair and he couldn't use his arms. And one of the requirements is you have to be able to lift 50 pounds.
Right.
Okay. So obviously he can't lift 50 pounds. So they didn't give him the job. Took him to court.
Of course.
He turned around, took him to court. I mean, my dad spent a lot of time with those situations. And
Yeah.
I pray that they're on purpose. Like the person knew what they were doing the whole time.
Probably.
Otherwise, it's like, wow, man, you
It's
really fell off the
It's,
rails
it's really
there.
sad either way, but
That's true. So with hiring, and especially if you're starting a business, I think this is a great way to really find who you're going to bring on and if they're going to fit. Because I even think some of these personality tests would tell you if they're going to fit in your culture even.
absolutely.
Because it takes one bad one to ruin it, but like 20 good ones to lift it up
Right.
and keep it going. So, go ahead.
No, and also not necessarily are they going to be a good fit, but in which part of the organization are they going to be good fits?
Yep.
And sometimes, like in our organization, we're small, and people have to wear different hats, and it's easy to shuffle. So, like right now, who's going to sit near the door? We don't have a receptionist.
Oh, that's right.
Whoever is sitting nearest the door is going to be the one. Which it was me at the last place, which
I remember that.
actually I'm pretty good at it because I smile at everyone. I didn't mind getting up, and I was a waitress. I'm a caretaker type.
Yep.
So it really didn't bother me that much. It was distracting because I was sitting there trying to work. And then also everybody thought I was the receptionist and
So
one of the owners of the business, but it was just
I'm
kind
here
of
to
like,
meet with one of the owners. Can you
whatever.
tell him I'm here? It's like,
I
well,
know.
you just did.
oh, I had people tell Dan, your receptionist is really nice. He's like, that's my business partner. But it was just because I was the only one sitting there.
Right.
And it's funny, we moved into this new big office and I was like, I do not want to be by the door. I do not. So I'm like back in the corner. Guess who everybody comes to?
They come right to
They
you.
still come to me.
You must just be welcoming.
I think it's more, I would love to say that. And it is true. I smile at everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's more the way the office is set up. I'm the only one whose face
You see
is
until you.
visible when somebody walks
Mhm.
in.
No, you're right. Everyone has their
Other-
screens.
yeah.
otherwise.
And mine is just the way it's set up. My face is visible and I look up when people come in.
Yes. Yep.
So it's my own fault plus the layout. But anyway, that would be if we were, okay, we've got all these people. None of them is the receptionist, but which one has the best personality
Mhm.
that they would greet our customers? And it would probably be me.
Yeah. You're gonna get it
I'll
anyways.
just stay there.
Guess what? We're moving your desk when we're done here. So congratulations. And then the last one, we're kind of talking about this now, is building a team. And this is where I've used it the most. And it was to learn whose personality was. Because in Traction, the book Traction, look, I did read a book, and Traction is that book. But that's where I feel the right butts in the right seats
Mhm.
really, I mean, there's a whole chapter on it there. So I
Yeah.
don't know if they created the concept, but they definitely drove it home. And to me, once I had read that, it really opened my eyes to, if you don't know their personality types, A, you're guessing,
Right.
and I'll always guess wrong, I promise you. And B, you're going off of their daily actions, which one thing I've learned about all of these is you don't see someone's top 5 strengths in their daily actions.
And people are always trying, especially in a work situation, they're trying to be who you want them to be.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
and I guess that's relationships and stuff too. A lot of people are trying to be what others want them to be instead of being who they are. And so it's not just that you're a bad guesser. It's that, they put on the face of, I will be good at this
Mhm.
because I have to or I'll get fired. or they want a promotion or whatever, and they really aren't. And
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard for them to be that way, and it's probably not going to last all that long because it doesn't come naturally.
Well, and okay, so then you're letting the test do all the hard work then,
Yeah.
right? Because it's saying, hey, you're really not outgoing as you think you might be, and we're going to take you over here and put you.
Yeah.
And that was one thing. It sadly, I hate it when you do the things they tell you to do and then they work, and you're like, gosh, I wish I would have done this a long time ago.
Right.
That sadly, that's when I learned, okay, if I need somebody to, I wrote blogs at that time. I don't know, but if I needed somebody to review my blog, I was sending it to this one guy who was just really good at grammar.
Sure.
When I found out I had this other lady who was more of a teacher mentality. And so when she would take it on, the guy would just like highlight and then send it back. And half the
Right.
time I had to guess what was wrong with it. I'm like, this sounds good to me. She would teach and tell me, and not like a 20-minute conversation.
Right.
But and then she'd correct it too on her own. I didn't have to go back and do it. But that's when I found out, wow, everything about your personality test told me this. Your strengths told me this. And like, you're enjoying this. I hate it, but you're
Right.
enjoying this. So once again, working on a team, building a team, if you don't have any of this background to go off of, you're going with the perception of what is
Yes.
Real.
Yes, and the mask that the person has put on that they might not even know
To be
that they're
cool.
wearing a mask.
And chances are that's when you have those trips and those falls, and then eventually, you pull Sally off the front desk and you put her in the processing, and holy crap, Sally's doing great now, and
Right.
she's managing the team now, and all of that. So that's where I think there's a lot of advantages to this. As an owner, know who you are, so that you kind of get to know who you work with.
And it's good for your team too. You're doing them a favor.
Mhm.
I think, and I'm going to mangle this quote. We don't have a quote in here, so we better put it in here. I'm going to mangle it. I'm probably not even going to get the right animals. But the quote goes something like, if you try to tell a frog he needs to fly, he's going to feel like a failure his entire life.
I think it's a fish.
I don't
You
know.
tell a fish because fish swim,
Well,
and then you tell them to fly.
frogs hop. They don't fly either.
Yeah, they can kind of fly. It rained frogs once.
In the Bible?
No, I think that really did
Wasn't
happen.
there like a swarm of locusts? as
Yeah,
well?
that was locusts. It never rained frogs in the Bible. It's
I
not
don't
a
know.
it's not a bad punishment.
bad.
Oh, and all the frogs are the tadpoles.
Anyway, I'll look up that quote too.
Okay.
But basically, you try and put somebody in positions that they're not good at and that they can't be good at, they're going to feel like a failure.
Oh.
And it's going to hurt their self-esteem. It could affect them for the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
And that's what manipulative people do. That's one of their strategies. Narcissist manipulative people is you can make anyone, the smartest, most talented person, feel like a idiot failure if you can figure out what they're not good at and
then-
try and make them do it all the time
Interesting.
and judge them on that.
Of course.
So.
Okay, let's reveal
A little big reveal.
the top 5 strengths. All right, Angie, you can go ahead and go first.
Okay, my top 5 strengths are empathizer,
Which
and that's
I use that word a lot.
and I am an over empathizer. I have to shut it off. I even have like I'm gonna get
You just started.
I'm gonna get super woo woo on you.
Okay.
Crunchy granola, as my husband likes to call me.
Yep.
I have a shielding mantra that I do, which is actually extremely effective when I know I'm taking on the emotions, usually of my husband,
Okay.
to get back to myself.
Do you do that? Do you?
I don't do the actual, but I envision it.
Okay.
And it's like invoking you'll like this. I don't know why I do it since I'm not religious, but it's invoking a saint.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like a
Liz loves
protective-
saints all day
protective
long.
saint. And it's basically saying shield and heal me, shield and heal
I
me.
like that.
It's a shielding technique that I think I read about I'm losing words all the time here. Another word for empathizer, empath.
Okay. Yes. Yep.
It was on a book I read about being an empath, and my husband's moody, and he can be
Oh.
very disengaged, and he can be pissy. I mean, he's a human, he's a man,
Sure.
but it tends to affect me a lot, and so I'll use this technique. Shield and heal me, and
That's
just
cool.
imagine, light around me, and it's incredibly effective. I
That's
mean, it's
awesome.
visualization.
Yep.
It's you're tricking your head into thinking something. But yeah, I can be an over empathizer. I'm always the one. I know when somebody's upset
Mm.
when nobody else does. I know if something that somebody said probably you know,
Eating
it's
away at that person.
Yep.
Well, and look, and it's your top strength.
my top.
Yep.
Top. Yep.
Yeah, what's your next one?
Optimist.
I'm shocked I don't have that one. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yep. And I do. I'm always trying to
Look at the bright side.
look at the bright side. Oh, but that, I mean, and that's not saying I do it immediately. I mean, I have problems and something bad happens that I didn't want to happen. I'm bummed about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take me all that long to figure out how to turn it around.
Yeah.
So next is, and I don't even know how to pronounce this one. I believe it's Philomath.
It looks phonetically,
Yeah,
that is
and
how
this-
I would
Again,
say
this
it.
is not from Strengths Finders. It's from the Quick and Dirty free version. So I'm not sure this is even one of the actual strengths. It's learner.
Okay.
A seeker of knowledge is
And-
what it is.
So when you looked it up, or you're like, I'm sure I had that as a strength
Oh,
of some.
yeah.
So yeah. I
Oh
would agree.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm
I would agree.
surprised that that's not even above optimist, but
Yeah.
Strategist. So I think this is my and I think a lot of that is I answered a lot of questions. I love to make plans. Do I follow through on them? Probably not so much. I'm more of a strategery than a doer. So strategist. And then Peacekeeper, which
Mhm.
I am very surprised Peacekeeper was not higher. And I think that as I get older and I do better at taking care of myself first, I'm losing that a little, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yep.
Because otherwise you're always trying to keep everyone else happy. And guess who you're not making happy?
Yes, so.
Yep. So those are my top.
Okay, here we go. Top 5 strength. Number 1, positivity.
Okay, that's interesting because what do you think is the difference between positivity and optimist?
Okay.
Are they both in the Strengths Finders? It's not just that my test said.
That might be. Honestly,
That's
now that you
possible.
said that this is the off brand, this is the Aldi
Right.
brand of
And they
Strength
might not
Finders.
have been able to use their words.
Probably not. So, okay. So
It's possible it's the same thing.
it could very much be the same thing. If I had to say the difference, optimistic always finds the positivity, where positive,
Exudes it.
yeah, it's just always, and I love when people, and I've talked about this on this podcast, but they're like, that's not the real Brandon. Like he's overcompensating for how much he's hurting inside, and I'm like,
Nope, this
and
is
not
the real
yet.
Brandon.
No, I'm good for now. I don't know when life changed. This is my favorite strength,
Woo.
and I've got a great story. Yep, the woo, which I didn't know what it was, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got woo," because once again, I took the test and I didn't actually
That's
read.
a salesperson trait.
It is win others over. Here's what I find funny about this. I did this when I was on the director team on BNI, and there were like 12 of us between Omaha and Lincoln, and I was the only woo. Let's think about what a director does for a networking organization. They go into a chapter and try to kind of make friends with everyone so that
Mhm.
they're seen as a resource to help them. Yeah, I don't think we had the strongest team for that
Doesn't sound
scene.
like it.
Out of like 12, I was the only one. But that was another one that I really, it really shined on me, saying, don't try to be somebody you're not. Use this one.
Yeah.
You're going to walk into a room and the things that you feel, think, and say, just do them because you're driven to win everyone over. But then, as I've gotten older, that's also when you get into the one-upping. And we've talked about this where I try to
Right.
contribute to the conversation when really silence would be the best contributor. But I'm getting better at that. Okay, communication. If you see what you do, if you see my writing, you would think I missed language arts for pretty much my whole school career. I was there, just wasn't paying attention. So emails, blogs, those are not my strength of communicating. And it's because I write like I talk.
Okay.
And if you can hear me and you can see me, how I say things makes absolute sense. I can say the same word 17 times in one sentence because of how I'm presenting it. But
Okay.
if you write the same word 17 times in one sentence, it's incorrect.
Yes.
So I'm shocked on the communication, but then I've seen where something's been explained to somebody and it's just not clicking.
Mhm.
And I walk in and I use like 5 6-letter words at most, and it clicks for them.
Right.
So I always say I'm a great public speaker because I'm never going to use a word that everyone doesn't know.
Hmm.
Relation to everyone or relate to everyone. Includer. As a
See that?
parent,
Mm-hmm.
this has gotten, I think it's even more dominant than it was before, because when I see, if I'm at an event with Isabel and I see a kid not doing, or like stand on the side or something,
Yeah.
I I can't help it. I go and I talk to them.
Yeah.
And same with networking. If I see somebody at a wallflower, I'm drawn to them.
That's a great strength.
It's to pull them in. It's
Yeah.
to be that includer.
Yep.
And then the last one is adaptability. And this one I learned when I was traveling and we were running events. Because what would happen is the person I was traveling with, if something went wrong, their first reaction was anger and shut down.
Yeah.
Where mine was, well, this is what we have to work with.
What
Let's
are we
make
gonna
this
do?
work.
Yeah.
People are coming in an hour. Can't turn that off. So let's just make this work.
Yeah.
And so it was that adaptability. And then normally, well, no, he would always then kind of get on the train and we'd get it figured out. But that one shocked me a little because I'm also the person that if we're going to go have dinner on Friday, right? And the restaurant is Little Kings, which is just a sandwich shop.
Yum.
But then all of a sudden you can't make it and we have to go to a different restaurant because I've already picked which sandwich I'm going to get. Gosh, I get bitchy about that.
Yeah, I do too.
Like that's a hard one for me. I'm getting better at it, but there's still, I just know my first reaction is not my real reaction.
Yes.
And so when I'm mad about it, I just don't react.
Yes.
And then I let it settle in. I'm like, you know what? We're still going to have a good time.
Right.
It'll be fine. It'll
Right.
be fine. So those are my top 5 strengths.
Yeah.
So I challenge you, listeners, viewers, check out Strength Finders. I really do think it's just a great place to start. This is also more fun to do with a group, not just by yourself. I enjoyed doing the Strength Finders. I did it with a group. And then when I had my team do it, it was a lot of fun. Everyone was more engaged on it. So bring these to the team. What, we're in 2023 now, new year.
Correct.
Maybe this is something you can bring to your team, your group, your, I don't know, networking group, whatever it is. Bring this to them as an activity because I really think it self-improves, or it's really a great piece for self-improvement. And like I said, once people know their strengths, they tend to change a little if they start focusing on those, and it only makes them better.
Absolutely.
Only makes them better. Is there anything left to add? I mean,
Oh, way too much. But
okay, good. So we don't have time.
Right.
All right, everybody. So thanks for listening. We love reviews. We really like you to share. I am still pretty dang excited with how many people are referencing this as we are out networking now. And I
love
really
hearing it.
appreciate that support. And then, of course, leave comments. If there's anything you ever want us to take on as a topic, we're more than happy to take that challenge. But other than that, we look forward to talking to you on the next podcast.